WOCA.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
All right, 20 minutes after 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Lisa Conyers is on the phone. She's one of the authors of a book called The Human Cost of Welfare, How the System Hurts the People It's Supposed to Help. Lisa is a policy analyst, the director of policy studies for the DKT Liberty Project, and she's also worked with the documentary called Work and Happiness, The Human Cost of Welfare, premiering on PBS on Monday, January 8th and Tuesday, January 9th. Let's find out about this and the studies that went into the book and the documentary. Lisa Conyers. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the air with us. We all have our speculations, our theories, our just wondering what's best to do. Give people money that don't have anything, or let them fend for themselves, and then they'll be better off. Did the movie and the book persuade you to change your mind about anything, or did it kind of reinforce what you already believed?
Well, I didn't go into either of the projects with much in the way of preconceived notions beyond just sort of a curiosity as to how such a rich country could have 15% of its population living under the poverty line. But I certainly learned a lot with both projects, interviewed hundreds of people on welfare, and definitely got a much more nuanced view of the situation.
I think the thing off the top of my head that I always feel is that there are people who definitely need it, and you can't take it away from them, or shouldn't take it away from them. But there are other people who are abusing the system, and I don't know how, as an agency, they figure that out. I mean, I don't work in that field, so it's just from the outside looking in. But it sounds like you delved into it pretty closely. What did you find?
Well, we looked at all the federal welfare programs and did some policy analysis on them, and then I interviewed a lot of people around the country for a couple of years off and on about their experiences in the welfare system. And I think that there is the waste, fraud, and abuse that you always hear about, but I would say the majority of people who are in the system would much prefer to be working. They don't want to be in the system. They just get stuck in it and find it hard to get out. So I think that that's more of the norm than, any kind of sort of...
Well, that's encouraging, actually, isn't it? Yeah, that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
And that is one of the observations in this documentary, is it a trap for people, or just a temporary safety net, or is it both?
Well, I think it varies. I mean, for some people it is a very helpful assistance in a time of need, a short time of need, then they move on with their lives. But for many people, unfortunately, it does become a trap, and it becomes very difficult to get out because the value of the benefits is so great that they can't match that, by getting a job. Especially, single mothers with small children find themselves with housing and food and medical care and utility assistance and free telephones, and, they look at what it would cost in the workforce to earn that kind of money, and they can't do it. So, and the welfare system tells them, don't go to work or you'll lose all these benefits. So they find themselves stuck in a situation where it's too risky to leave it.
You wrote the book with Phil Harvey, and I wanted to say that the study that you did for the book is something that should have been done by the government, right? Because I think you revealed things that were always there, but for some reason or another, the people who make the decisions about welfare didn't really know about them.
Well, I think that's unfortunately true. We took the time to really do in-depth analysis of all the programs, and what you'll find in Washington, as with so many other federal programs, government programs, is that it's so compartmentalized. Whereas we were able to take a bird's eye view of the whole thing and look at all the programs and say, okay, how do they interact? And then even beyond that, how does it play out between what's in their rule books and how it affects people in real life? Because what we're really concerned about is how's it affecting human beings' ability to be happy and self-actualize and, be parts of their community and feel like they're contributing. And to us, that's an important part of the human condition is how do we make people happier and
do the conclusions of the book. Let's say I was on welfare, and I read your book, and I said, you know what? I think I'd be better off if I just refused it. Do you think that is that perhaps could be the end result of the book of the study that you did, where somebody himself or herself purposefully says, you know what? I this handout thing is hurting me, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, I think that I found people across the country feeling like that, like they wish they could. I mean, I heard over and over again, I wish I could just walk away, but they are scared because once you're on it, it's scary to think,
right.
How am I going to get that? And employment being what it is these days. I mean, now it's ticking up, but we still have a lot of people who are unemployed, and that's why, to me, one of our observations was, instead of spending all this money keeping people in welfare, keeping them under the poverty line and telling them not to get jobs, what if we turned that on its head and said, we'll help you if you get a job. Go to work and we'll help you. But you're not going to get help unless you're trying to get out of it, because you don't get out of poverty by going on welfare. You get out of poverty by getting a job.
Right, absolutely.
And if the goal is that we're trying to get people out of poverty, then let's do that,
And
I just want to say that's how unemployment compensation works. You can only have it for so long, and you have to show that you're trying to get a job.
Mm-hmm. And you also have to have been working, right? I mean, you can't just go apply for unemployment unless you've got a job that you lost. So, I mean, and then there's another program which some people aren't really aware of, but the Earned Income Tax Credit is actually a welfare program where you get your federal taxes back at the end of the year if your income's below a certain level, and that is one that's directly tied to work. You can only get it if you work. So any kind of program that has a work component to us is a much better idea than one where we're just handing people money.
And it seems that this affects the attitudes of the children, because the children will be growing up and they see their parents getting entitlements, and these children will have the same kind of attitude. Well, why should I work when I can get this for free?
And I'll tell you, some of the most tragic stories I came across on the road when I was doing interviews for the book is mothers who would tell me, I wish my kids didn't see me like this. I hate that their idea of living is walking to the mailbox and getting a check. I want to go to work because I want them to see their mother working, but I just can't figure out how to do it. And I met one mom who was just adamant that she wanted to have a job, and she had actually been diagnosed with a terminal disease. She died a couple years ago, but when I interviewed her, she said, I want my child to see me work before I die so that they'll remember their mom as someone who worked, and which was just so sad to me.
Yeah, really. So the book is out right now. I found it on Amazon. You're getting really good reviews from the people who've been reading it. In fact, you've got 5 stars across the board. And the documentary, how do we see? Oh, that's on PBS on Monday and Tuesday, right?
Yes, it'll be on PBS nationwide on Monday and Tuesday, and then it'll be streaming starting in February. You can watch it online at freetochoose.tv. They're the ones who produce the documentary. But yeah, it's nationwide coming up soon.
So do you think it'll help us understand better the welfare system and therefore give us what we need to know when it's time for voting?
Well, I hope so, and I hope that it really sparks a discussion. We're really hopeful that welfare reform will be on the table sometime soon. There are people on both sides of the aisle that would be interested in working on it. It's just a matter of getting it on people's radar, and hopefully this will nudge that needle.
The book is called The Human Cost of Welfare. It is written by our guest, Lisa Conyers. And please tell me your co-author's name. I had it here.
Phil Harvey.
That's right, Phil Harvey. Thank you. And I did find the book. Do we have the book, Robin? No, we don't have the book.
No, we do not.
I did find it on Amazon, and that's where I got the cover that I'm using for the podcast. Do you have a website you want to direct us to?
Yeah, the book has a website called thehumancostofwelfare.com, and you can read a lot more about it there. And then, of course, you can find more about the film on Free to Choose Network's media site. Just go to Free to Choose Network .org, and you can learn more about it there as well and see a trailer.
Lisa, thank you for being on there. Thank you for what you're doing. I think it's all part of us understanding ourselves better when an author puts together this kind of a study. Thank you, Lisa.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We'll be right back.
Fox News Radio. I'm Chris Foster, the author of a new book about the Trump